The United States is a nation of immigrants, people who move from one country to make their homes in another. When we think of immigrants to America, we usually think of the European, Asian, and African immigrants who arrived on the North American continent voluntarily or as slaves between the 1500s and today. But immigration started long before then. During the last ice age, climate changes took place that uncovered the land that joined present-day Siberia and Alaska, known as the Beringia Land Bridge. Many scientists believe that 20,000 to 35,000 years ago, people used this land bridge to migrate to new lands in the Americas in search of food. They hunted mammoth and other animals and gathered fruit, nuts, and roots as they traveled. Eventually, people settled into permanent locations, gave up the nomadic lifestyle, and developed an agricultural way of life. The people we now know as Native Americans were the first immigrants to North America. About 1,000 years ago, Viking sailors set out from their new colony in Greenland and became the first Europeans to set foot in North America. They called the land they discovered Vinland, settling at a place known today as L'Anse aux Meadows in Newfoundland, Canada. The Vikings didn't stay long in North America. Native Americans were left alone until the arrival of Christopher Columbus in 1492. Columbus had been commissioned by the King and Queen of Spain to find a route to India by sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean. But instead of India, Columbus found the large land mass we now call the Americas. Columbus and other seagoing explorers made many voyages to the New World, claiming lands for their king or queen. The first wave of immigration after Columbus's arrival was largely from England, Ireland, and Scotland. These immigrants brought with them their language, English, and their traditions of government, which would greatly influence the future nation. Many of these immigrants came in search of religious and political freedom. They established colonies up and down the East Coast, creating villages and towns that mirrored those they had left in Europe. Citizens of other European countries would soon follow suit and leave their homelands to emigrate to North America. Over the next centuries, Spanish, German, French, Scandinavian, Russian, Slavic, Italian, and Greek immigrants settled in the United States. Each ethnic group brought its own language, religion, and culture. People tended to settle in the same area as others from their country. This was especially true in large cities, and the different neighborhoods created then are still apparent today. Beginning in early colonial times, another immigrant population arrived, but they arrived involuntarily. Slave traders captured Africans and brought them to the colonies to be bought and sold like property. These enslaved people were forced to work primarily on plantations and farms until slavery ended with the Civil War and the passage of the 13th Amendment in 1865. Between 1830 and 1920, a great surge of immigrants arrived in America. Among them were Asians who came to the West Coast, lured by stories of the California gold rush and the building of the railroads. There were so many people arriving in the United States that authorities set up special entry points. In California, Angel Island was established, and in New York City, Ellis Island. During its peak years, from 1892 to 1924, Ellis Island received thousands of immigrants each day. Each was scrutinized for disease or disability as the long line of hopeful new arrivals made their way up the steep stairs to the great, echoing registry room. Some 40% of Americans can trace their ancestry to a person whose name passed from a steamship manifest to an inspector's record book at Ellis Island. Immigration continues into the 21st century, with people continuing to come from Europe, as well as from Central and South America and Asia. They come for reasons similar to those of earlier centuries, to escape wars, famine, religious persecution, and to better themselves economically.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud to be an American citizen.
Thank you.
Why do immigrants continue to come to the United States? Photography has provided us with a rich visual record of early immigrants arriving at Ellis Island in New York and Angel Island in San Francisco. And early in the development of motion pictures, camera crews recorded immigrants being processed at Ellis Island. Modern technology allows us far more opportunities to record newer immigrant stories like that of Alex Juarez. Alex was born and grew up in Mexico City. He graduated from an international school like this one, where his studies included English as well as U.S. history and government. In addition to his studies, Alex was an accomplished member of the school's soccer team.
I received a soccer scholarship to play for the University of South Florida, and I came on a student visa. So I came in, like I said, in 1984, played 4 years there at the University of South Florida, and it was a wonderful experience there living in Tampa. I felt right at home because there was a lot of Hispanics, Latinos.
While in college, Alex met someone who would become his wife, and eventually they moved to Wisconsin.
I lived in a small little town called New Holstein. Every 2-3 miles there was a farm, and I see cows all over the place, and that's something that I really had never seen, experienced really in Mexico City or in Tampa. And when we first arrived to the town, I think one of the first things that shocked me was there was no stoplights. I don't think I ever noticed anybody treating me any different because I had darker hair than almost everybody else there. People knew that I was from Mexico, so a lot of people came up to me and asked me if I had a burro, a donkey, at my house. So I had to change kind of their image of what a Mexican really was.
Alex had an opportunity to be the chef on Wednesdays at a local restaurant, similar to this one, where he prepared native foods for Mexican night.
And it was a wonderful experience. We had some Mexican dishes, and it was a great hit. It was a great experience for me and a great experience also for the town.
Alex went through the long process of becoming a legal resident of the United States. After he was married, he applied to be a permanent resident. Alex then had to wait 3 more years before he could apply for citizenship. He is now a proud citizen of the United States. Alex's next move brought him closer to his homeland.
I decided to come to Arizona. As I came more and more to the Southwest, I started experiencing more of the Hispanic culture, which I think at that time I really needed that. I needed to be closer to my culture, to my background. There's tons of things that I still miss about Mexico. Obviously, I don't miss the traffic. I don't miss the pollution because it's a very polluted city. There's many things that I still miss from Mexico. Obviously, my family, my mom still lives there, my siblings, and also my sister's kids also that live there, and other family. So I miss seeing them more often and talking to them. I miss food, and even though here in Arizona and many parts of the U.S. you can get Mexican food, I still don't consider that authentic Mexican food. Well, I'm married to a beautiful lady. We have 2 beautiful children, very bright little kids. We're educating them in a bilingual format, so I only speak to them in Spanish. I want them to know that they also have roots in Mexico. It's very important for them to know that they're Mexican Americans. Every night we read in Spanish. My kids have to read to me in Spanish, or I read to the little one. But my 7-year-old daughter has to read to me in Spanish, and they can be any type of book that she chooses to read. But she has to read to me every single night. That way she keeps up with her Spanish and knows a little bit more about Mexico. I think being bicultural gives me the opportunity of being more open and diverse to different opportunities, different cultures, different religions, different aspects in life. So it's helped me tremendously to be bicultural and bilingual. And I want to share that with my kids. Every 3-4 times a week, I send emails to my family. I send pictures of the kids so they can stay in touch with them.
Alex now considers himself a Mexican American.
I absolutely love the United States. I love both of my countries. Mexico, which was the country that saw me be born, that saw me be raised, and then the second part of my life really has been the U.S. So I have lots of love for the United States. It's a country that's opened up its doors for me, a country that has given me the opportunity to succeed, that has given me everything that I have right now. So I'm very grateful to the country, to the people. It's a country that I would do anything for. I absolutely love this country. I love the flag and everything that the country represents.
Stories like Alex are a part of the ongoing immigrant experience in the United States. For many, their new home presents abundant opportunities, but also presents challenges. Immigrants strive to hold on to the culture of the country they've left behind while working to adapt to their new home in order to take full advantage of the opportunities they find here. Do you know any recent immigrants? How do their experiences compare with those in the video? Immigrants like Alex and others have also had a significant impact on our country's economy. Hispanics represent the largest percentage of entrepreneurs of any minority group in the United States. Entrepreneurs are people who organize, operate, and assume the risk for their own business venture. Asians produce the highest revenues among minority businesses. During a 5-year period in the 1990s, the number of businesses owned by Asians and Pacific Islanders increased 4 times as fast as the total number of U.S. businesses. Today, the average annual revenue for Asian businesses is $336,200. Many of these businesses are in the service and retail sectors, though some well-known high-tech companies, such as Computer Associates, were founded by Asian entrepreneurs. In a recent poll of 13 to 18-year-olds conducted by Junior Achievement, an organization that educates young people about business, it was found that minorities were more interested than whites in becoming entrepreneurs. 89% of Asian teenagers polled said they wanted to start their own businesses. What are some of the minority-owned businesses in your community?